Hey doc, I want to start training. I want to be the next Seaman.
Why on earth would you like to be a bun? Anyways, if you start training, you'll get injured, you'll be short forever, and everything bad will happen to you.
But is this really true? I have experienced these situations too, and I know that they may be demoralizing. This is why I wanted to share my experience and information I've learned throughout my fitness journey with you all. I'm a 15 years old student athlete who wants to encourage people to start training so they can achieve a healthier lifestyle in the future. In this video we will take a look at what is resistance training, how resistance training affects growth, how you can get injured, whether equipment is necessary to train, and the advantages and disadvantages of lifting weights and bodyweight exercises. Resistance training is considered a type of training based on putting your muscles against some type of resistance. In other words, putting your muscles against weights or any force such as gravity. Resistance training is divided into different methods. We commonly hear weightlifting for training with weights and calisthenics for bodyweight exercises. With this in mind, we should first see why it is beneficial to train. Training has physical and mental benefits. According to an article on the Science Direct website, resistance training did not have a significant change in self-esteem and well-being in the tested teens. The article remarked that well-being is subjective because everyone feels it differently. Despite the lack of effects, resistance training positively altered the perception of the efficacy or effectiveness and the autonomy the teens had on themselves, therefore improving their self-esteem and well-being. Additionally, according to the National Institute of Health, your brain produces some chemicals such as dopamine, noradrenaline, serotonin, and endorphins that during exercising makes a person reduce stress, pain, and improve well-being overall. Some physical benefits include managing your weight to a healthy level, strengthening your muscles, ligaments, bones, improving balance and coordination, which will be more beneficial for us in the long run. Growth is the most debated topic when it comes to resistance training in general. A growth stunt happens when the growth plate or the epiphysis plate are completely closed. This means that they will not be able to add more volume as width or length to the bone, or in other words, grow. Naturally, the growth plate closes up at certain ages, but it depends on the person. Most males stop growing before the age of 18 and females before the age of 16. However, as I already mentioned, there are many exceptions, as people can still grow until their growth plates are closed. Going back to the topic, people regularly associate weight training or lifting with growth stunts, but it is not the case. According to theconversation.com, 15 to 30% of the bone injuries in children and teenagers were from the growth plate, so it is quite common. But they all were treatable and few of them had negative impacts on the growth of the patients, as growth stunts or abnormalities. Any type of training, whether it is weight training, calisthenics or any other, won't directly boost your growth, but it will have some benefits on your lifestyle which can improve your growth. One of the benefits is sleep quality. It is scientifically proven that growth hormone is released while sleeping, so having a better sleep will lead to more growth hormones released. This means that strength training will not make you short. Along with growth, injuries are also an important topic when talking about resistance training. We already saw that injuries can stunt growth, but they are very rare cases. Parents just don't want their kids being injured because it sucks. It can be very expensive, time-consuming, or demoralizing for the kid and the family. Now, how and why do people say that strength training has a big risk of injury? In the 1990s, the American Academy of Pediatrics published a report that said that weightlifting, powerlifting, and bodybuilding shouldn't be practiced by teenagers because their bodies haven't achieved full physical maturity, but they addressed these activities as resistance training. These three activities weren't recommended for teenagers because they required putting an undeveloped body against extreme loads of weights. These extreme conditions in teenagers mostly ended up in injuries, growth stunts, or future health issues. On the other hand, weightlifting with dumbbells of an appropriate weight are very beneficial physically and mentally, as we already have seen. Injuries are more common from sports such as football, basketball, and others than from resistance training. I'm not saying you shouldn't practice these sports, I'm just saying the statistics. Resistance training could be helpful for athletes to grow their muscles and gain strength, mobility, or stability. This could lead to a lower chance of injuries, as an adequate conditioning for their sports reduces the chance of injuries. Another reason why people associate weightlifting or calisthenics with growth stunts are that generally weightlifters and gymnasts, that are people that practice bodyweight exercises as well, are short. because in many cases it gives them an advantage over tall people in their sports. Many people argue that strength training is not accessible for everyone. This may be because people have the idea of resistance training as going to the gym, but it is not true. To do cardio instead of a treadmill, you could just run in your park, you could bike in the streets instead of a stationary bike, and to build a strong bicep you don't necessarily need dumbbells. You could do chin-ups or push-ups. What I'm trying to say is that it is true that using weights to get more strength or muscle mass can technically be easier. This is because you can measure your strength and progress in a less complex way, since you can add or remove weights. However, as I just mentioned, it is not completely necessary, and bodyweight exercises without equipment might be the best option for teenagers who want to start strength training but can't go to the gym. Many people argue that bodyweight exercises do not have the same result as weight training because of the lack of equipment. And it is kind of true. They are not completely the same and have different results. Usually, weightlifting has specific exercises to target muscle groups, and bodyweight exercises are compound exercises, or in other words, exercises that target more than one muscle group. This is not always the case because you can do compound exercises with weights and isolation exercises with your own body weight. Isolation exercises are good because many times they don't depend on weaker muscles to do an exercise. An example of this is doing pull-ups and not being able to continue doing pull-ups because your grip gave up. This is because your forearm muscles aren't too big compared to other muscle groups in your body. An example of compound exercises when lifting weights is the deadlift, which works mostly the glutes and the hamstrings to lift the weights, the back and the core to balance the weight, and other muscle groups to support the lift. An isolation exercise with weights is the bicep curl with no variation that works the bicep muscles. Bodyweight isolation exercises, on the other hand, are more limited. One example of this is the calf raise that works well the calf muscles. And finally, some known bodyweight compound exercises are the push-ups, working the shoulder, chest, back, bicep, and tricep depending on how you do it, and the squats, which work very similar muscles as the deadlift. To sum everything up, you will not injure yourself or stunt your growth if you train properly. Both types of training have their advantages and disadvantages. I prefer not using weights. Training is important for your overall physical and mental health, and you should train the way you enjoy or the way you can. What is important is to start training. Hope you learned something new and the information will be useful for you. You can show this to your family members who don't let you train for different reasons, or to your friends that can be interested in this topic. Please fill the forms in the description. Bye!